Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Brothers and sisters, special guests, contractors, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2024 Canada's Building Trades Union Conference. This year's conference theme is training a safe, skilled workforce. Mesdames et Messieurs, bienvenue à la Conference 2024. My name is Sean Strickland. I'm Executive Director of Canada's Building Trades Unions, and on behalf of the Canadian Executive Board, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. I see many familiar faces and many new faces, and welcome to our conference, and this year promises to be a dandy. At this time, to begin the proceedings, I would like to start with a territorial land acknowledgement and invite a good friend of the building trades, Mr. Albert Dumont, to come to the stage. Albert is a poet, a storyteller, speaker, and an Algonquin traditional teacher. He was born in traditional Algonquin territory as a published author and was named Ottawa's Poet Laureate in 2022. He's held numerous leadership positions and has dedicated his life to promoting Indigenous spirituality and healing, and to protecting the rights of Indigenous peoples, particularly youth. Albert is also a proud retired bricklayer. Please, a warm welcome to Albert Dumont.
Miigwech, Sean, that's an awesome introduction. It's good to be back. I just want to, start off by saying that I worked for over 40 years in the masonry trade. You know, I noticed and know that you mix mortar a certain way to support bricks, and you mix mortar a certain way to support cement blocks, and you mix it a certain way to support stone. So that was working for over 40 years and with mortar. And nowadays I work as a spiritual advisor and as a human rights activist. And support still is important to me, you know, the proper support, you know, how we should feel that we can support one another spiritually, mentally, and physically, but especially spiritually. Whenever somebody dies, somebody that you love dies, and the family, the next of kin need support. I definitely keep that in mind. I wrote a poem, and I'm going to share it with you now, and it's about honoring those people that die in job sites. I want to share a memory too of whenever I went into the trade when I was 17. And an older bricklayer who had a lot to do with teaching me my trade was telling me about the day that he was working on a swinging scaffold, 6 stories high. And he said he had his 4-foot level leaning on the railing of the scaffolding, and there was a bricklayer. And I remember that he said the bricklayer's name was Gunter. And my friend Bob said he reached for his 4-foot level, and it wasn't there. And then he noticed that his buddy on the scaffolding wasn't there either. And he looked over the side, and there was Gunter laying on his back, falling 6 floors. So Bob said he went down the scaffolding, he walked down the stairs to where his friend was laying, and he described how that man took his last breaths. And I think Bob was telling me that just because I was a kid, and he wanted me to be safe, and the bricklayer working with him had stumbled, I guess, and he reached for something to hang on to, and he grabbed the level, and down he went with the level. Anyway, I wrote this poem, and I hope you like it. I call it the Worker's Request. Unfurl our country's greatest symbol of sanctuary and calm, and let the flag be lifted by a strong and calloused palm. Let her mourn them, the workers whose labors brought them death. For the wind brings our visit, and we rise to salute her yet. Send forth your heart's greatest tributes for them who have crossed that final gate. Then recollect that the smiles which overcame the impossible task were smiles made of fate. Forever remember, too, that it is the workers who sing the nation's purest song. And when you gather to honor them, unfurl our greatest symbol of sanctuary and calm. So I wrote that in honor of all those people that die on job sites, and whoever you are, wherever you come from in this country, wherever it is that you're connected to, whatever trade you're connected to. I'm here now just to say that I'm going to keep you in my prayers, and all those young people that in the trades that are counting on you to bring about more safety and common sense, I guess, to the work site. So miigwech, have a good stay here.
Thank you very much, Albert, for those words of wisdom and the moving poetry and tribute to all workers who have died or been injured on the job in the aid of building this great country and creating that flag that symbolizes all that we are. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to recognize our gold sponsors, UA Canada and Ironworkers Impact. Over the next few days, we will hear from a variety of speakers, politicians, business and industry leaders from within our own organizations, all of whom will focus on training a safe, skilled workforce. I'd like to recognize a few special guests we have here today. Joining us from Washington, D.C. this afternoon is Secretary-Treasurer of North America's Building Trades Unions, Brandon Bishop. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Jim Williams, General President of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. Terry Larkin, General President of the International Association of Heat and Frost Insulators. Kevin Bryanton, General Secretary of the International Association of Bridge, Structural, Ornamental, and Reinforcing Ironworkers. I'd also like to acknowledge some esteemed alumni of our great industry. Mitch Grenier, former Canadian Director from the UA. Pat Dillon from the Ontario Building Trades. Tom McGreevy from the IBW. Mitch and Tom, I'm sure, are no strangers to everyone in this room, as they are the gentlemen who are running the 50-50 lottery for our monument fund. So make sure you catch up with them in the hall and put your donation in for the 50-50 draw, which will be held today, and then a second draw will be held tomorrow. Just a couple other housekeeping items before we begin in earnest here. Out of respect for our guests and speakers, please put your cell phones on mute. And please remember to leave the translation devices on your table when you leave the room. For safety, washrooms are located outside of the ballroom and to the left, just behind the escalator. Emergency exits are directly behind the ballroom through the doors that are marked by our sponsor, Pathways Alliance. You can follow the signs to the muster point located to the left outside of the hotel. There's Wi-Fi for the conference as well, and we're pleased to have Smart sponsoring our Wi-Fi this year. If you haven't already logged in, you can see the information you need right there on the screen. We also have a conference app, and we can log into that. The best way is through the QR code, and you can go to the App Store or Google Play, if you like, to download CVENT, C-V-E-N-T. If you haven't done that already, or you prefer to scan the QR code, you can take a picture of that right now. And that'll link you into the conference app, which has all the agenda items and times. We'd like to thank Milwaukee Tools for sponsoring the conference app. Just a heads up that there will be media in attendance during the conference, so you are aware, and they will be identified with a media badge. So just before we pipe in the Canadian Executive Board, I'd also like to thank the Provincial Building and Construction Trades Council of Ontario for sponsoring our opening ceremonies, to Enbridge for sponsoring today's box lunch, and to the GPMC for sponsoring this morning's breakfast. Please, a round of applause for all of our sponsors, and thank you very much. We couldn't do it without all of you in attendance and without our sponsors, so sincere thank you. We're going to have the board members marched in with a color guard, and the colors will be carried by apprentices from Smart Local 47, Ali Kassam, and David Perrant. March on the colors. Welcome. You did that really well. You did that really well. You guys look awesome. Thank you. Yes, for sure. Thank you to our piper and our color guard. I'd like to invite our national anthem singer to the stage, please. Dr. Leanne Vida, singer and adjunct professor of voice at Brock University and Niagara University, for the singing of the American and Canadian anthems. Welcome, Leanne.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous sword for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Leanne. If you could please remain standing for a moment of reflection in memory of our brothers and sisters and all workers who have died as a result of workplace accidents or from the ravages of industrial disease. Thank you. Piper, please march out the color party. Thank you, and please be seated. No, not you guys. I was happy to get them all on stage in order. Okay, so I'd like to take a moment to introduce the Canadian Executive Board, and just before I do that, I'd like to thank Leanne Vida again for those very moving renditions of both of our national anthems. It's quite something to have a singer of that caliber. So thank you, Leanne. Okay, so I'd like to take a moment to introduce our Canadian Executive Board members, starting with Brother Paul Faulkner from the Insulators. Unfortunately, Paul couldn't be here today, but he extends his best. We have Brother Russ Shuchuk. If you just come forward and give a wave, Russ, that'd be great. IBW. Craig Strudrick, Regional Director, Canada International Union of Bricklayers. Brother Patrick Campbell from the Operating Engineers. Brother Terry Snooks from the UA. Brother Chris Feller from the Cement Masons and Plasterers. Chris Paswisty from SMART. Colin Daniels from the Ironworkers. Brother Joseph Mancinelli, who extends his regrets. Brother Ben McIntyre from the Elevators. Brother Gary Kitchen from the Teamsters. And Brother Robert Kucherin, Chairman of the Board of the Canadian Executive Board and Senior Advisor to the General President of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. Thank you, and thank you to the Canadian Executive Board. You can now sit down. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you can go now. Yeah, thanks. So just a couple of general announcements in terms of this year's conference. We have a mix of fireside chats, panel discussions, subject matter experts for major projects across the country, industry leaders, and our keynote speaker, Clara Hughes. We will also hear from representatives from the federal government. We have a photographer on site, as we do every year, Cynthia Munster, who is with us for the duration of the conference. If you're interested in group photos, I know many of you are, please let her know after the plenary session today. The photos, as they are every year, will be made available online following the conference through our website. It's great to be back here in Gatineau with you all today.